They helped create one of the most unforgettable sagas ever put to film. But behind the power, loyalty, and betrayal of the Godfather lay lives filled with struggle, heartbreak, and personal battles few ever saw. Their time on screen was legendary, but their real-life stories, marked by triumph and tragedy, remind us that icons, too, are human. Today, we remember 18 actors whose journeys ended long before their legends faded. Marlon Brando as Vito Corleone. Marlon Brando, born on April 3, 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska, rose from a troubled Midwestern childhood to become one of the most influential actors of the 20th century. The son of a harsh, alcoholic father and an artistic, emotionally distant mother, Brando grew up craving approval and stability. These early wounds shaped both his craft and his tempestuous personal life. When he stepped into the role of Don Vito Corleone at age 48 in The Godfather, he brought an unparalleled depth of humanity to the aging mafia patriarch, a man torn between duty, power, and paternal love. His raspy voice, improvised moments, such as stroking a cat that wandered onto the set, and commanding screen presence not only won him his second Academy Award for Best Actor, but also transformed the portrayal of masculinity in cinema. Yet away from the camera, Brando's life spiraled into chaos. His 3 marriages reflected the emotional turbulence that plagued him. His first, to actress Anna Kashfi in 1957, produced his eldest son, Christian, but collapsed amid bitter custody battles, allegations of violence, and Kashfi's struggles with addiction. His second marriage, to Mexican-American actress Movita Castaneda, was annulled when it emerged she was still legally married to another man at the time of their union. His third marriage, to Tahitian actress Tarita Teriapaya, whom he met while filming Mutiny on the Bounty, ended amid accusations of infidelity and growing emotional distance, though Brando retained a lifelong affection for Tahiti, where he owned a private atoll, Tetiaroa. Brando's greatest heartbreak came through his children. In May 1990, Christian Brando fatally shot Doug Drolet, the boyfriend of Brando's daughter, Cheyenne, at the family's home. The incident led to Christian's imprisonment and plunged Cheyenne deeper into depression. In 1995, Cheyenne, struggling with mental illness and grief, died by suicide at age 25. These tragedies devastated Brando, who withdrew from public life, haunted by guilt and loss. His health declined sharply in his final years. He battled morbid obesity, type 2 diabetes, congestive heart failure, and liver cancer. On July 1, 2004, Brando died of respiratory failure at UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles. He was 80 years old. Fulfilling his wishes, his ashes were scattered in both Tahiti and Death Valley, 2 places where he had sought peace, far from the fame that had both elevated and tormented him. James Caan as Sonny Corleone. James Caan, born on March 26, 1940 in the Bronx, New York, was the son of German-Jewish immigrants who instilled in him both resilience and a fiery spirit. That same intensity defined his portrayal of Sonny Corleone, the hot-headed eldest son of the Corleone family in The Godfather. At just 32, Caan's electrifying performance captured both Sonny's loyalty and his impulsive violence, earning him an Academy Award nomination and cementing his legacy in cinematic history. His interpretation of Sonny's infamous toll booth death scene remains one of the most shocking and memorable moments in film. Behind the scenes, however, Caan's personal life was filled with challenges and complexities. He married 4 times, first to D.J. Mathis, with whom he had his eldest daughter, then to Sheila Ryan, which lasted less than a year, followed by unions with Ingrid Hajek and Linda Stokes. Each marriage ended in divorce, reflecting the difficulty he faced in balancing fame, work, and family. The early 1980s brought perhaps the most painful chapter of Caan's life. The death of his beloved sister Barbara from leukemia left him devastated, and grief combined with the pressures of Hollywood led him into a period of self-destructive behavior. During these years, he distanced himself from the industry and disappeared from major film roles for nearly 5 years. Caan spoke candidly later in life about how his choices during that period strained his relationships, particularly with his 5 children, including actor Scott Caan. His turning point came in an unexpectedly tender moment, realizing that his loyal dog was suffering because he had neglected not only his career, but his responsibilities. That wake-up call sparked his comeback. He returned to the screen with a renewed sense of purpose, starring in popular titles like Elf, Get Smart, and Fast Charlie. Despite his professional resurgence, Caan's health became an ongoing battle. He was diagnosed with coronary artery disease, which led to complications, including heart failure. On July 6, 2022, James Caan passed away at the age of 82 in Los Angeles. He was laid to rest at Eden Memorial Park Cemetery, joining generations of Jewish entertainers who shaped Hollywood's golden age. His story is remembered as one of raw talent, human flaws, and a relentless will to rise again. John Cazale as Fredo Corleone. John Cazale, born on August 12, 1935 in Revere, Massachusetts, was the son of Italian-American parents who nurtured his early passion for the arts. Shy and introspective as a child, Cazale found solace in theater and later studied drama at Boston University and Oberlin College before moving to New York City to pursue acting. His portrayal of Fredo Corleone in The Godfather and The Godfather Part II was nothing short of masterful. Fredo, the overlooked, insecure middle son, became one of cinema's most heartbreaking figures. Cazale infused Fredo with a quiet desperation and vulnerability that earned the character both sympathy and sorrow from audiences worldwide. Incredibly, Cazale's entire film career spanned just 6 years, but every film he appeared in was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards: The Godfather, The Conversation, The Godfather Part II, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. Directors and co-stars, from Francis Ford Coppola to Sidney Lumet, praised his ability to bring profound emotional depth to even the smallest moments. Al Pacino, a close friend, once remarked that Cazale's presence on set elevated everyone's work. In 1977, while rehearsing for The Deer Hunter, Cazale was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. Despite his declining health, he insisted on completing the film, determined to contribute fully to what would become another landmark of American cinema. His partner, Meryl Streep, remained by his side throughout, offering unwavering support, while Robert De Niro ensured that production insurance covered Cazale's participation by personally underwriting it. John Cazale passed away on March 13, 1978, at the age of 42, at New York's Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. He was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in Malden, Massachusetts. Though his time on screen was brief, his legacy endures. Every frame he graced remains a testament to the power of subtle, deeply human storytelling. His work continues to inspire generations of actors who seek to match the authenticity and soul he brought to his roles. Richard Castellano as Peter Clemenza. Richard Castellano, born on September 4, 1933 in Queens, New York, was the son of Sicilian immigrants who instilled in him a deep pride in his heritage, a pride that would later shape his most iconic role. Before fame, Castellano honed his skills in the vibrant world of New York theater and on television, building a reputation for his ability to blend toughness with humor. His breakout came in Lovers and Other Strangers, earning him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. But it was in 1972, at age 39, that Castellano truly etched his name in cinematic history as Peter Clemenza, the loyal, streetwise capo in The Godfather. His delivery of the line, "Leave the gun, take the cannoli," improvised on set, became one of the most quoted in film history, capturing the dark wit and pragmatism that defined the mafia world on screen. Despite the success, Castellano's career soon hit turbulence. He was initially slated to return for The Godfather Part 2, but creative disagreements with Francis Ford Coppola over control of his character's dialogue soured the relationship. Castellano wanted to ensure that Clemenza remained an authentic voice for Italian Americans, but the dispute led to his exit from the sequel, a decision that deeply disappointed fans and limited future opportunities for the actor. In his personal life, Castellano married twice. His first marriage ended in divorce, and though his second union endured, it was tested by the demands of his career and his ongoing health struggles. In the years following The Godfather, he worked steadily but never regained the level of acclaim he had achieved as Clemenza. Heart disease began to take a serious toll on his well-being, forcing him to scale back his work in his final years. On December 10, 1988, Castellano died suddenly at his home in North Bergen, New Jersey, at just 55 years old. His death marked not only the loss of a gifted actor, but also a key figure in Hollywood's portrayal of Italian-American life, a storyteller who sought to bring dignity and complexity to characters too often reduced to stereotypes. Sterling Hayden as Captain McCluskey. Sterling Hayden, born on March 26, 1916, in Montclair, New Jersey, was a man of striking contradictions, a Hollywood star who loathed the very industry that made him famous. Standing at an imposing 6 feet 5 inches with chiseled features and piercing eyes, he was dubbed the most beautiful man in the movies during the 1940s, but Hayden was never comfortable with his matinee idol image. From a young age, his true passion was the sea. By the time he was in his 20s, he had already worked as a fisherman, shipmate, and captain of schooners, crossing oceans in pursuit of adventure and solitude. Hayden's entry into Hollywood was almost accidental. He signed with Paramount in 1941, lured by the promise of financial stability, but he quickly came to resent the artificiality of the film world. To him, acting was merely a means to bankroll his sailing expeditions. Even at the peak of his career, he saw himself first as a sailor, then as an actor. His deep disdain for fame and the trappings of celebrity often clashed with his undeniable talent. Nevertheless, he delivered unforgettable performances in films like The Asphalt Jungle, where he played a doomed criminal, and Dr. Strangelove, in which his portrayal of the unhinged General Jack D. Ripper became iconic. His role as Captain McCluskey in The Godfather added another layer to his complex filmography. As the corrupt, brutal police captain, Hayden brought a weary menace to the character, embodying a man hollowed out by years of moral compromise. Yet behind the scenes, Hayden carried his own moral burden. During the McCarthy era, he testified before the House Un-American Activities Committee, naming names of colleagues with suspected communist ties. Though he later expressed profound regret, describing the experience as the greatest shame of his life, the incident haunted him. In his personal life, Hayden married twice, first to actress Madeleine Carroll and later to Betty DeNoon. Both marriages ended in divorce, and his relationships with his children were strained by his restless nature and long absences at sea. In his final years, Hayden lived modestly in Sausalito, California, aboard a barge-turned-houseboat, seeking peace on the water. After a battle with prostate cancer, he passed away on May 23, 1986, at age 70. True to his spirit, his ashes were scattered at sea, a final return to the only home where he ever felt truly free. Richard Conte, as Don Barzini. Richard Conte, born Nicholas Peter Conte on March 24, 1910, in Jersey City, New Jersey, rose from modest beginnings to become one of classic Hollywood's most recognizable faces in crime dramas and film noir. The son of Italian immigrants, Conte's early life was marked by hard work and resilience. Before finding success as an actor, he held down a string of jobs, including truck driver, singing waiter, and fruit stand clerk, while studying acting at the neighborhood playhouse in New York. His break came when legendary director Elia Kazan discovered him at a Connecticut resort, impressed by Conte's natural presence and charisma. Conte's film career took off in the 1940s and 1950s as he became a staple of gritty, morally complex roles. His performances in Cry of the City, where he portrayed a hunted gangster, and Whirlpool, opposite Gene Tierney, cemented his place in the golden age of film noir. Known for his sharp features, steely gaze, and commanding voice, Conte brought layered humanity to characters who might otherwise have been mere archetypes. In The Godfather, Conte portrayed Don Emilio Barzini, the cold, calculating rival whose treachery ultimately leads to the Corleone family's bloody consolidation of power. His understated menace and controlled performance made Barzini a figure of quiet, deadly authority, a perfect counterbalance to the fiery passions of his adversaries. Conte's personal life was quieter but not without difficulty. He married twice, first to actress Ruth Story, with whom he had a son, Mark, and later to Shirley Garner, who stood by him during years of health struggles and financial uncertainty as his star waned. Though he never fully recaptured the prominence of his early career, Conte remained respected in the industry for his professionalism and talent. On April 3, 1975, Conte suffered a massive heart attack and stroke. After fighting for nearly 2 weeks, he passed away on April 15, 1975, at the age of 65. He was laid to rest at Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles, among the great figures of Hollywood, a fitting resting place for a man whose screen presence left an indelible mark on cinema history. John Marley as Jack Woltz. John Marley, born Mortimer. Leon Marley, on October 17, 1907, in Harlem, New York City, was a versatile character actor whose career spanned nearly 5 decades. The son of Russian Jewish immigrants, Marley grew up in a working-class neighborhood where he developed a love for performance early on, eventually studying acting at the City College of New York. His path to fame was slow and steady, marked by dedication to his craft rather than a hunger for celebrity. By the time he appeared as Jack Woltz in The Godfather, 1972, Marley had already built an impressive resume with nearly 250 film and television credits to his name. In The Godfather, Marley's portrayal of the arrogant Hollywood producer who defies Don Corleone and pays a horrific price became seared into cinematic history. The scene in which Woltz awakens to find the severed head of his prized thoroughbred horse in his bed remains one of the most iconic and chilling moments ever filmed. Marley's raw, visceral scream in that scene captured the terror and powerlessness of a man who had underestimated the reach of the Corleone family. Beyond The Godfather, Marley was lauded for his work in independent and art house films. He delivered a moving performance in John Cassavetes' Faces, which won him the Volpe Cup for Best Actor at the Venice Film Festival. His role as Ryan O'Neal's father in Love Story earned him both an Academy Award and a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor, further proving his range and emotional depth. In his personal life, Marley married twice and had 3 children. Despite his professional success, he remained a private man, avoiding the Hollywood party scene and preferring quiet evenings with family and close friends. In his later years, declining health, particularly heart disease, led him to step back from the spotlight. On May 22, 1984, at the age of 76, Marley passed away following complications from open-heart surgery. He was laid to rest without fanfare at Cedar Park Cemetery in Emerson, New Jersey. Though he often stayed out of the public eye, Marley's unforgettable performances, particularly as Jack Woltz, continue to resonate with audiences around the world. Abe Vigoda as Salvatore Tessio. Abe Vigoda, born on February 24, 1921 in Brooklyn, New York, was the son of Russian Jewish immigrants who instilled in him a strong work ethic and deep sense of humility. Before his name became forever linked with The Godfather, Vigoda spent years honing his craft on stage and television, often cast in roles that required quiet strength and subtle intensity. His tall, gaunt frame and deeply lined face made him a natural fit for the character of Salvatore Tessio, the once loyal Corleone capo regime, whose silent betrayal marked one of the film's most powerful moments. With minimal dialogue, Vigoda conveyed Tessio's regret and resignation, especially in his final scene where he quietly pleads with Tom Hagen, "Can you get me off the hook, Tom?" For old time's sake. The role catapulted Vigoda into the public eye, leading to further success as Detective Phil Fish on Barney Miller and its spin-off, Fish. Despite his newfound fame, Vigoda remained a humble, hard-working actor, content with supporting roles that showcased his distinctive presence. However, in 1982, People magazine mistakenly reported his death, an error that spawned decades of running gags in popular culture. Vigoda took the mix-up with characteristic good humor, even posing in a coffin for a satirical photo shoot to poke fun at the situation. Over the years, the joke became part of his public persona, with countless TV shows and comedians referencing his supposed passing. In his personal life, Vigoda married twice. Though his first marriage ended in divorce, his second brought companionship until the death of his wife, Beatrice Schei, in 1992. That loss left him deeply lonely in his later years. Despite the fame and public fascination, Vigoda lived simply in New Jersey, preferring quiet to the chaos of Hollywood. On January 26, 2016, at the age of 94, Abe Vigoda died at his daughter's home, his life finally free of the long-running punchlines. His legacy endures in the unforgettable humanity he brought to characters like Tessio, a man torn between loyalty and survival, played with a grace only Vigoda could provide. Al Martino as Johnny Fontaine. Al Martino, born Alfred Cini on October 7, 1927, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was the son of Italian immigrants who owned a masonry business. Before his rise to fame, Martino worked alongside his father as a bricklayer while nurturing his passion for music. His rich, warm baritone voice eventually propelled him to stardom in the 1950s, when he became one of the first American singers to top the UK singles chart with his hit, "Here in My Heart." The song's massive success marked the beginning of a promising recording career, with Martino earning fans on both sides of the Atlantic. However, Martino's early success came at a steep personal cost. His growing fame attracted the attention of organized crime figures, who allegedly bought out his management contract and extorted him for tens of thousands of dollars. Fearing for his safety, Martino fled the United States and spent several years in England, where he continued performing and recording, though far from the bright lights of the American music scene. When he finally returned to the U.S. in the 1960s, his career had lost momentum, and he struggled to regain his footing. Martino's casting as Johnny Fontaine in The Godfather was itself touched by the very underworld themes the film depicted. Though the role was initially offered to another performer, Martino secured it, according to some accounts, with the help of powerful connections who influenced studio decisions behind the scenes. His performance as Fontaine, the desperate singer seeking Don Corleone's help to salvage his career, mirrored elements of Martino's own life, adding an eerie authenticity to the character. Off-screen, Martino's personal life was marked by turbulence. He married 3 times, with 2 of those marriages ending in divorce. In his later years, he faced financial hardship and personal challenges, including battles with alcohol that further complicated his life. Despite these struggles, Martino remained beloved for his voice, his contributions to the golden age of pop standards, and his role in The Godfather, which kept his name alive in the annals of cinema history. On October 13, 2009, just 6 days after his 82nd birthday, Al Martino passed away from heart failure at his home in Springfield, Pennsylvania. His songs, and that singular, plaintive voice continue to echo through the decades, a reminder of both his talent and the tumultuous journey that shaped it. Morgana King as Carmela Corleone. Morgana King, born Maria Grazia Morgana Messina on June 4, 1930, in Pleasantville, New York, was the daughter of Sicilian immigrants who recognized her musical gifts early. Raised in a household filled with traditional Italian music, she began singing as a child and studied voice at the Metropolitan School of Music. With a contralto range that spanned an astonishing 4 octaves, King became a respected figure in the world of jazz, known for her unique phrasing and emotional depth. Over the course of her career, she recorded more than 30 albums, blending jazz with elements of classical and world music, and received a Grammy nomination for I Know How It Feels to Be Lonely. Though celebrated in musical circles, King largely avoided the limelight, preferring intimate venues and loyal audiences over mass commercial fame. Her rare appearance on screen as Carmela Corleone in The Godfather introduced her to a global audience. With a quiet grace and understated power, she portrayed the Corleone matriarch as a symbol of dignity and familial strength, grounding the film's violent world with a maternal presence that resonated deeply with viewers. Despite limited screen time, King's Carmela became a beloved figure, embodying the heart of the Corleone family. In her personal life, King faced profound sorrow. She married twice. First to trumpeter Tony Frusella, a brilliant but troubled musician whose struggles contributed to the collapse of their marriage. Her second husband, celebrated trombonist Willie Dennis, died tragically in a car crash just 4 years after they wed. The deepest heartbreak came later in life when her only child, daughter Grayson, passed away in 2008, leaving King devastated. King spent her final years in Palm Springs, California, living quietly, far from the stages and studios where she had made her mark. On March 22, 2018, at the age of 87, she died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. While she left no grand estate or headline-making legacy, Morgana King is remembered by fans and musicians alike for the elegance of her voice, the honesty of her performances, and the quiet strength she brought to both her art and her life. Richard Bright as Al Neri. Richard Bright, born June 28, 1937, in Brooklyn, portrayed Al Neri, Michael Corleone's shadowy enforcer. A fixture in all 3 films, Bright's life was less glamorous. In the 1960s, he battled censorship charges over a controversial play. His marriage to Rutanya Alda strained under career demands. On February 18, 2006, Bright was fatally struck by a bus at 68, his quiet power on screen matched by a quiet end. Lenny Montana as Luca Brasi. Lenny Montana, born March 13, 1926 in Brooklyn, was Luca Brasi both on and off screen. A wrestler and real-life mob enforcer, Montana's past gave authenticity to his chilling performance. Alcohol, financial woes, and fear of old enemies haunted his later years. He died of a heart attack at 66 on May 12, 1992, a figure as feared as he was forgotten. Alex Rocco as Mo Green. Alex Rocco, born February 29, 1936 in Massachusetts, lived 2 lives. As Mo Green, he was the brash Vegas mogul. As Alexander Petricone, he was tied to Boston's Winter Hill Gang. Fleeing gangland violence, he reinvented himself in Hollywood. Despite Emmy success, personal loss, including his wife's death from cancer and his son's early passing, left lasting sorrow. He died of pancreatic cancer at 79 on July 18, 2015. Julie Gregg as Sandra Corleone. Julie Gregg, born January 24, 1937 in New York, brought quiet grace as Sandra Corleone. A stage and TV star, she earned a Tony nomination, but faced 2 failed marriages and the strain of balancing career and home. Withdrew from acting in the late 1980s, she died of cancer at 79 on November 7, 2016. Lettieri as Virgil Solozzo. Lettieri, born February 24, 1928 in New York, gave Solozzo a terrifying realism drawn from his connections to actual mob figures. His life mirrored his roles, fast, intense, and self-destructive. Addictions and broken marriages marked his final years. He died of a heart attack at 47 on October 18, 1975. Their faces shaped a film we'll never forget. But it's their real stories, their struggles, their triumphs, their human frailty, that remind us how thin the line is between legend and life. Which of these actors' stories moved you most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep these hidden histories alive.